Hey guys, welcome back to the Far From Healed podcast where we chop it up about trauma. I took some time with this episode, because this one kind of hits home for sure. So that's kind of why I haven't been, putting out episodes as frequently because I don't want you guys to just kind of get the vibe that I'm just some kind of weird robot that's just putting out stuff to put out stuff. Like this stuff really is my trauma and it really is my life, and I'm just trying to process it all at the same time as putting it on a podcast for millions of people to hear. So I have expressed in other episodes that I did have alcoholic parents. All that kind of did was lead to a million questions and trauma, such as, what does that mean? How does that affect me? Am I being the best parent I can despite that? Did I turn out just like them? Okay. What does that mean? It means that all three of my parents were functioning alcoholics while I was growing up. Everything went on per usual, but there was always a shadow of Smirnoff around. On one hand, I respect the hell out of my parents for that because they really did the damn thing. On the other hand, alcohol has consumed my life from such a young age. I was always around it in some way or another. And I know for sure that's from my friends, that's from my family, that's from just about every circle you can fit in. How does that affect me? I have been an alcoholic since I was 14, and I'm 32 now. I would sneak around my parent, I would sneak my parents' vodka into quite literally any bottle I could find so I could take it out of the house. Because like, who's not gonna notice a quarter of their bottle is missing? And I wasn't one of them people who let's fill it up with something else so they won't notice. Oh no, my parents were gonna notice. The problem was is that I wasn't caring. hmm. Let me find out my kids want to try me like that. Girl, girl, girl. No, thank you. I saw that you can do whatever you need to do in life with alcohol right by your side. I mean, that was it. Everything. My whole life, my parents did everything, but always had a glass in her hand. I always made sure that the functions we were going to, that's what it was. So I just learned that you really can't function and just be drunk. You can continue to do your life and your responsibilities and still drown your pain. And that's what I did. I drowned every pain I ever experienced in those bottles. Every hardship turned into another sip. I still really struggle with facing hard ass emotions without a bottle of wine or a shot of Crown. And that's not okay. That's not where I want to be. That's not how we should process things. That's not right. Alcohol should be a fun pastime with a group of people. It shouldn't be something you use to fix your problems and to drown yourself with. And that is just me speaking with experience. Next question. Am I the best parent I can be despite that? Yes and no. I'm always a work in progress, and I'm a fantabulous mother. Now, I felt at 19 when I got pregnant with my daughter, I had zero idea what I was doing. I had been trapped in my own mind for so many years prior to that I was not the greatest parent I could be at first. I desperately try so hard to change that and show up in the ways I know how. I struggle with alcoholism every single day. Some days it's easy, and some days it's like a blinding light that I can't escape. I know that there are a lot of people who can relate to that, which makes me sad because none of us should carry the weight of others' unprocessed pain. And a lot of times when we're kids, that's exactly what it is. It's parents that didn't know how to do this or didn't want to deal with that or couldn't focus on this, so did that. Like, it. And a lot of us experience that, and I know that, or they wouldn't have Al-Anon, they wouldn't have resources for the families that deal with that as well. So just know that you're not alone. Please reach out to, me or the professionals or anybody in your life that makes you feel comfortable. Because we shouldn't have to experience this alone. We shouldn't have to bury ourselves in the bottom of a bottle. We shouldn't have to wonder what if I could, what if I did. Just do. Let's just be in the season of doing. Haha, that's what she said. Did I turn out just like them? I'm not sure. If you ask them, they will always say their generation just worked harder. They did more. Yada yada yada. I'm not doing my podcast to bash or to offend anyone. I do want to make that very clear. But I do need to share my story. I think in many ways I'm a lot like my parents. I'm loud, and I'm outspoken. I light up the room. I'm independent. I can use my tinker brain to solve simple tasks, but I also use alcohol as a crutch. I also try to hide my pain and emotions from my kids instead of working through it so I can get better. I would love to say being like your parents is a good thing all the time, but I do also believe our parents didn't ever get the chance to process their own emotions and traumas. And I don't think that's their fault either. I think that's the life they were living in. That's the life that they had been conditioned to be in, and that's the tools that they were given during that time. Now we're creeping up into 2026. I think it's safe to say that us as adults now probably have more tools and more things to use to deal with the emotions and deal with the trauma and make it so alcohol isn't the only resource. And God bless for that, because could you imagine all of us crazy 30-year-olds trying to just deal with things that way and not processing and not talking about things and not communicating and just shoveling it under a rug? Mm. Mm. I did some research on the statistics on just everything surrounding children from addiction, raising, their own children. I found that it truly made me sad because the numbers were in the millions. And all the different topics I typed. All of them. I know it's naive, but I wish this world was a happier place. A place where it wasn't weak to just process trauma. Hold on. As I close out this episode, I want to ask one final question to myself and to the listeners. How can we be the best versions of ourselves for our children? My best answer is going to be do your best every day. Show up when it's easy, but honestly, show up when it's hard as hell. Be the person you can be because you've walked through fire to get there. Octavia E. Butler said, in order to rise from its own ashes, a phoenix must first burn. And I really relate to that because you have to walk through fire to know that you can walk through fire. You have to go through the hard things to know you can handle the hard things. Because if you don't try, how are you ever going to know? I don't think you can. I think you have to try. And trying is hard as hell. And am not turning an eye to that either. I know trying is hard as hell. I try every day to show up. I try every day to be the person I want to be. Now, is that who I'm showing up as? I don't think so. But I desperately am trying to be the person I want to be. And that's going to get me there, one day, I think. I think I do want to explore the world of interviews, where we can get to know some other people's stories and trauma and their versions of growth and how they have overcome things, because then we can, start to relate with you guys and, with others and just kind of make it a safe place for people to feel the feelings that they need to feel. And for anybody listening to this podcast and you can relate to it, heal out loud, shine bright, and don't forget what you've gone through already to know that you can go through anything going forward. As always, this is the Far From Healed podcast where we chop it up about trauma. Stay tuned for the next episode, guys. And don't worry, I'm going to work out my little glitches, so it'll be okay. Love y'all.